Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mangoes. I have with me my co-hosts, Eunice and Steph.
Hello.
You're
Hello.
supposed to say, what's your line, Eunice?
We're co-hosts.
There you go. Thank you.
We're co-hosts with the Mohos.
And today is our Valentine's Day special, and we have a special guest with us, Ellie, the only single friend we can get in 2 hours' notice. Of the 3 couples, she was the only one available at such short notice. Ellie, introduce yourself. Say whatever you want to say.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. And goddamn now, is this how you treat your friend? Just throwing her under a bus like that, saying, so out of all my friends, she's the single one. Not only that, but she's like super available. Like, we got her last
Think about it this way.
minute.
I was just telling them earlier about this. This could be a perfect story to tell if you meet somebody and then you get married. Oh, where'd you meet? Oh, I met in Podcast Mangoes. Then we can, brand your wedding. In fact, if anything, if this happens, right now, I'm guaranteeing Eunice will pay for your wedding. It's guaranteed. It's done.
What?
Eunice
Why
from
me?
Podcast Mangoes will pay for your wedding.
Wait.
The only thing is that if I do find my human within this podcast, it has to be one of you guys, Like, it's either one of you, so I guess we will become a throuple.
Well, maybe we know people.
Ooh.
Go on, Steph.
Yeah.
Maybe we know someone. They'll come out of this.
Yeah. Or I think Momo also meant maybe our audience, someone in the audience will be like, oh my God, she sounds like the girl of my dreams.
Yeah, and then they reach out to the podcast and they're like, "Hey, here's my number. No force if you want to give it to that girl Ellie to text." And then I'm gonna be like, "Ooh, send me a picture." And then I'm gonna be like, "Wait, no, actually, I don't want a picture because it could be dangerous. First, let me know how old you are. I don't want no pictures."
No, you have to vet them for me,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll vet
Yeah.
them for sure, 100%. I'll be in the mindset of you, Ellie. I know you so well that I'll be in the mindset of you, right? And I'm gonna be like, "Okay, what do we got here?"
I need to see a couple of things as well, face and other things.
Don't you worry. I'm getting it all.
Doug?
No hold barred. You know what I mean? Will I send the picture back? Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, you should pretend to be Ellie. And
The entire time?
Yeah, flirt with them for her. And if they pass the test, then you can pass it on to Ellie.
Here's the thing with that though. I would 100% mess around with just being like, "Oh, what are you into, feet?" Somehow it'll go down that road just to see what are their kinks, stuff like that. Will it match? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But then I'm like, wait a second, you're into feet? Send me a foot pic. What do you
Oh my
what do you like for feet? You know what I mean? And then I have to match it up with Ellie's feet. Okay, well, are her feet that was good? Then I have to ask my friend, "Hey, do you mind sending me a picture of your feet? I gotta see if it's a match."
Mm-hmm. So yeah, before you even talk to the guy, Ellie, don't worry. Momo will have phone sex with him first.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
100%.
my goodness. Okay. I agree to this. I consent.
In fact, Ellie, I'll go even further. I will have the first coffee.
Yes.
Because sometimes
Wow.
you have great chemistry on the phone, but I need to know if it's good
Wait.
chemistry in person.
I sure hope Natasha doesn't mind,
I don't think she will.
On the
I'll tell her to
side.
come along.
Oh goodness, then it will truly be a throuple. Why are you
Yeah.
here? We're a couple now. This is who we are.
No, I'm just gonna be like, she's only here to watch. Please don't speak to her. It ruins her. It ruins everything for her. Please just pretend she isn't here.
It ruined the illusion.
Yeah, don't ruin the illusion for her. Just shh.
She's here
Not
to take notes.
Not sure if a guy who agrees to this will be a keeper, to be honest.
No, but it'll be a
There's
story.
Eunice again. You hate on the British. You hated on everyone. Now you're hating on people who like weird situations. Okay, let me ask you a question. You're not telling me that isn't the most fun situation you've ever had in your entire life, Eunice? Come on.
No, I think that's kind of weird.
All right, well.
If that ever happened in real life, I'm not gonna lie. I'll see where it goes. I'm gonna
Right?
follow that down that rabbit hole and see what I could find. I don't know.
I'm in a relationship, and I'm already into this new relationship that hasn't even happened yet.
You guys are going to end up on an
invested.
episode of Catfished.
No. Everybody knows what we're doing.
Yeah. Plus, we'll go there to see this human and see if they're alive. If not,
No,
then
Yeah.
you guys are the catfish.
wait, how?
No, because Ellie exists. It's just I'm doing the.
Oh, no, because they think
Yeah.
they're talking to Ellie.
No, but
they're talking to you.
I've
though.
known Ellie for what, over 10 years now? We're basically the same person.
We really are. 100% we really are.
Right, Ellie? Wouldn't you say we're twins?
We really, really are. Not by we don't look alike or anything like that, but we behave the same. So it's kind of strange.
I feel like you were really quickly trying to get away from my looks. Just really quickly. Like, we're twins and everything, but I don't look like this ugly fuck.
Well, yeah.
I was about to say, like, thank God for that. Oh.
You know, I offer my services, and this is what happens. What if?
Yeah, questionable services.
I feel like that could be a great app idea.
No.
Was it Tinder, Bumble? If you're listening, like people to go out to meet the person to make sure they're not like dangerous. Come on, you wouldn't pay for that?
No, there's actually an app where you can hire someone to do something for you that you don't want to do. I saw a commercial for it. So you could actually hire someone to go on a date for you.
But I feel like if you don't want to go on the date, you just shouldn't.
No, but you can tell them to pretend to be you. So someone used the app to hire someone to pretend to be them at a high school reunion.
I get that, but then for the actual like app things like that, you would have to completely catfish them with a different person's face and photos and things like that.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
Okay.
I guess you get somebody that's alike, you know?
No, yeah, the person he hired, like, did everything to look exactly like him. He was bald, so he shaved his head, etc., etc.
Oh, goodness.
They were, like, about the same height and, like, same race.
Yeah, both white. And then he was bald. But he wanted someone who was more fit than him, so he found someone more fit.
Well, this just turned into the better look-alike, or the doppelganger look.
Yeah.
Looking for the doppelganger.
Yeah, the better looking version of me.
He definitely...
Apparently. God damn. Yes. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, we will.
I just
Anybody
don't know.
that
we have to put that up for a vote.
I'll send you a picture of me and I'll send you a picture of Ellie. And then you pick. Yeah, 100%.
Just
while you're
trying to 30.
If they pick me, they pick
That's
right.
like the test.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so who do you think's better looking?
Yeah, exactly. That's like the trick.
They go into round 2.
Yeah. Then it's like, oh, Ellie, he will not lie to you.
God damn, you're making me seem like a troll. Now there's no chance I'm going to meet a human in this if this is how you're portraying me, but thank you. Carry on.
Like, what's going on here? He said something about feet. I'm interested. I'm in. You never know what you're going to get.
Oh, goodness.
As I always say, my kink
Not
is knowing
to
other
kink
people's
shame
kinks.
at all. No, you can't kink shame. Yes.
I knew, Ellie. I knew.
And
I
I
told you,
agree
we're
with
just
that
twins.
kink.
We just get each other.
For myself as well.
Yes, but we brought
Interesting.
Ellie on to tell us because, according to Eunice and Steph,
Exactly.
we're so far removed from dating. Like, oh man, we might as well be like 102. The internet came after we've gotten with somebody because we can't understand what it's like to be single anymore. So we needed somebody who's single, a single expert.
How long have you been single,
Nice.
Ellie?
For a hot minute. That's about, I'm not going to go into details just because it's so
Eunice
sad.
right off
Okay,
the
that's
bat is
okay.
going for the throat.
Okay.
Huh?
But yeah, it's God damn, she legitimately KO'd me in like a couple of seconds. Goodness.
No. Wait, I didn't ask that. Sorry, I didn't ask that to embarrass you. I just because Momo said you're the expert of single, so I was just like, how long single? Like 1 month single?
I'm just gonna say that it's been a hot minute, but I've gone on multiple dates with multiple interesting people. So do you remember that story that he was saying that we would like sit down with strangers and vet them? So those are sort of my dates, and then they're very interesting dates. So I have tons of them. But no human has actually like stuck for me, I guess.
When's the last time you went on a date?
A hot minute, but also I think last week.
Ooh.
But it's an interesting story. I don't know if we're going to get into that right now. I guess we could go
All
on
right,
with the
get the
program
goddamn
first.
hint, Eunice. Stop trying to lead. I'm going to switch the podcast name from Mangoes to Mojos, all right? Because you're trying to take over and I don't like this.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, I could tell you the story afterwards, I guess. Like,
Okay.
later in this podcast, I could say it, but not off the bat. You just can't start with that. You just can't start with the last date that I had. That was some interesting dates. But carry on.
Oh,
Okay.
Ellie has the most interesting stories I've ever heard. Again, knowing Ellie for this long, I feel like her life is like, how would I explain it? It's like a series of just like, there's no way this can happen to one person this one time, but it consistently happens to Ellie.
I have witnesses, so it's not that I'm making things up. There are witnesses to this shenanigans, I guess.
What is it like dating 2020, 2021? Well, let's remove, what is it like dating before COVID? Let's just put it as it is. I'm sure it's much more different now with COVID than it was before COVID. So I just want, because again, as Eunice and Steph would say, we're so old, we just don't know what the dating world is like. Can you explain it to us oldies?
It's not that we're old, it's that none of us have real online dating experience. Well, you found your girlfriend not online. You found her in college.
I mean, but we're online right now.
Looking for
That's long distance.
What
That's not
happened
the
to her?
same.
Did you kill Natasha? Is it? Is this how you say
No.
to the world?
No. Oh my God, we do have a murder podcast.
I was gonna
So
say,
this would make sense,
damn,
you know?
Mo, why would you say this out loud in the public?
Imagine the last episode is just me admitting to, like, hey Eunice, when's the last time you saw Natasha? Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
She messaged us.
Bitchy
did
now.
just
Wow,
text
interesting.
me.
She messaged you, but when's the
Are you
last
saying you
time
have her phone?
you saw her
Wait,
alive?
when?
I mean, I'm not saying anything. But
Right,
yeah, so
for-
just explain your dating. Not you don't have to explain your dating life specifically, but like, how is it like to date?
No, like what I come across.
No, like, what do you do? Are you going out? Is it like better to do the apps? Which apps are better? Stuff like that. Do you okay? Let me ask you easily. Do you prefer the apps, or do you prefer meeting people like organically through school?
I feel like I should become
like
like
that.
super. What's the word? Transparent about this. I'm a hermit. I'm like an interesting hermit, I guess. I would go outside if someone forced me. But
No, but you could still make like I too like to stay at home, but you could still have a preference to meet somebody, you know, in person rather than meeting them online. Doesn't mean you're meeting a lot. It's just like you have a preference of, you know.
I don't really have a preference per se, but it's a lot easier to get the ball rolling, I guess, with a stranger on any of the apps. Because face to face, they'll be like, oh, she's an interesting human. I don't know about that. So, you know, I'm more coherent when I write that rather than when I speak. So
Okay, so any app that you prefer?
I've tried them all. I guess all that's available. So
I'm 100% sure you haven't tried them all. In fact,
that's all available to me
get a
that I
list out
know
for
of.
you.
Also, I live under a rock for the internet. So I mean, I only know memes and shows and anime, and that's my life, I guess, on PS4. But for the gaming, I mean, for like dating wise, I've mostly met them through like Bumble or Tinder, mostly Tinder though. But yeah, not that they both suck. They both suck, but it's something to do in the meantime.
I see.
Do you have a favorite app?
No, I do not. Before COVID, I had the time of like a squirrel getting ready for hibernation, you know, no time to play around. I had to get shit done. So I did not have time to do anything. So I barely went out. And when I did, I would go into interesting dates with people, because at that time I'd be like, sure, this seems like an interesting human. And then they'll tell me stories like they have 47 guns. And then, yeah, that's an interesting one. It's not as fun as the rest.
Are
Hey, dating somebody from Texas, I just gotta say, 47 guns wouldn't stop
and then
me.
being who I am, I would ask them, what kind of guns? Where do you use them? Do you use them all at once? What's the deal? Like, do you like interchange while you're like hunting? What do you hunt? So I would ask all sorts of questions. And I guess, mind you, these dates don't go anywhere, but I learned some shit, you know? The more you know.
Yes, cool.
Yeah. So before that, I would just go on these dates, and then I would just learn about human beings, and it would be great, I guess. Wow, that makes me sound like a sociopath. I mean, psycho. No.
No, you get exposed to like a lot of different kind of people. I think.
Yes, that's a better way of saying what I said. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. And as for, I mean, mind you, I'm very, I'm immersed in like STD research, and my focal point right now is HIV and hepatitis C and things like that, and other sexually transmitted diseases, and also like bloodborne diseases. So I am hyper aware of all the types of shit that you can have and all the possible ways of getting it, because I'm also an HIV counselor and a sexually transmitted disease counselor as well.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, Eunice, my friends are cool.
But,
yeah. Wait, so you're in school and you're getting a PhD. Are you studying something relevant to what you're already doing as an HIV counselor?
Yes. Right now, my PhD is in anthropology, but I'm also doing a maternal and child health concentration and getting my master's in public health.
Wow.
So it's a twofer. You know, I'm getting all that alphabet like after mine, and just all of it. I don't know exactly what I'll do with it, but I'm going to have an alphabet soup after my name.
And Eunice,
awesome.
I need you to call her Mr. Dr.
Wait, Mr.?
Ellie. Mr. Dr. Ellie.
Why Mr.?
LLC.
I didn't get it.
Why Mr.?
It's a Toy Story joke.
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
It didn't go over you. Eunice, cut this one. Cut this
one
out.
Wait, Steph, did you get it? Oh, did you get it,
Ellie? Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, of course Ellie got it. Me and her, again, how many times I gotta say this? Besides our looks, we're basically
continue to make it sound like, you know? I'm the worst looking one.
Hey, in the beginning, you basically were defending the fact that you look absolutely. You wanted to make sure that if one thing anybody gets from this one podcast is you sure as hell don't look anything like me.
Well, yeah, she's trying to date, like.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm going through the list of apps on CNET for the best dating apps of 2021, and I'm just gonna get everybody's opinion on these. I don't know if you've used them or not. Ellie, yours is the most important. Eunice, yours is the least important. I'm just going to put it out there.
Wow.
He's so
Bumble. Anybody use it?
I have used it, and it's not my number one to go to.
Steph, you ever use Bumble?
I haven't used any app.
Oh, jeez. So. Okay, I've used Bumble. I love it.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, I loved it. Let me put in the correct tense.
Is this where we find out that you're cheating on Natasha?
I know, put in the correct tense.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Wait. Actually, Ellie, did you know what Momo wanted to discuss before he had the idea of inviting you?
Oh, God, no, but tell me, please.
He wanted to talk about our thoughts on open relationships, and also who we would, like, what would we look for if we were all in the dating scene again. I was just like, are you trying to say something?
Fascinating.
No. It was more like...
Also, Mo, if Natasha's looking for another person, you know who to call.
Listen.
We're basically the same person. So if she likes you, she'll love me.
Hey, listen. So she likes me for my looks.
Ooh, she's Miss Steelio girl.
Or so you say.
I mean, I would hope she likes my looks. No, the reason why I said this, because Eunice is going to get me in goddamn trouble. The reason why I said this was because I was just like, what, like, I've never experienced before, open relationships. But they're like, as you know, one of my kinks is knowing about people's kinks. So I'm thinking, like, how doesn't, like, because it's just like, for me, I feel like I would get jealous. Jealousy has to play in an open relationship. I've never been in one, but I would assume, like, I want both to like me. But I don't want selfishly, I don't want the other two to like each other. But that wouldn't work. That's just two different relationships then, you know? I mean, which I'm sure exists, but I'm talking about like an open relationship that like flourishes all together. I feel like that's so interesting.
Come up to me and tell me about these open relationships. All that needs to work, and mind you, some of them have been very jealous towards one partner more than the other. It's just that they would define them as like the primary partner or whatever, but before that they would have like this conversation of what they're comfortable with. So it literally just boils down to being sure that everyone knows what each other is comfortable with and having a conversation beforehand.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, that is like, and then it's like more of giving, like, since we're all in a relationship, that it would be not easy. It'd be like, hey, like what did we look for when we were, which we're gonna get into later on, but what did we look for when we were trying to find like a partner? I feel like that's very important for the people who found partners. Like, oh, what did we look for? What did we do? You know, I'm not saying it's gonna be perfect for everybody, right? I'm sure everybody's looking for different things, but there are certain ones like you want somebody who's not going to be manipulative. I'm sure most people want that, you know. I'm sure there's like you can boil down like main things and then like specific things for different people and like how they met their partner if they wanted to go into it, stuff like that. And you just shot that down and made it think like I was trying to leave.
It would be something of an interesting thought, kind of like a thought. What is it called? God darn it, I forget the word for it.
No worries.
Thought study. It doesn't really matter. It's a thought experiment.
Yes, exactly. It's just like, hey, what can we talk about that we don't know anything about? And that's open relationships.
I mean, I was just teasing you.
No, really, you were.
Is this when you say you secretly want one?
No, hell no.
Yeah, Eunice? Right? That's what I was saying.
See, and then, no, if you were just talking, Eunice, then why the heck did you tell Nat?
What? No, I added her.
That's basically telling her then.
Yeah, and I put in siren emojis. That means it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Once you use emojis, it's a joke.
Oh, okay. That's not true.
Wee-oh.
That is the worst ambulance I've ever heard in my entire life.
Literally, every time I use this siren emoji, I just was thinking to myself, like, Leo. Come look at your boyfriend. I'm a loyal girlfriend. That's what it is.
We're friends, Eunice.
Yeah, and you know what? I still find you sus.
We're friends, Eunice. I can't believe it.
Yeah, but I'm also Nat's friend.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta look out for her.
All right,
I see. Stand up for Mo, you know, just because you throwing the poor man under the bus and making him seem like he's not.
Thank you, Ellie. You see, this is why Eunice's wages are garnished forever now. Okay. What do we think about?
Can I chime in? Hi. What do you guys think about Coffee Meets Bagel? So if you guys don't know, it's an app where it pulls from your Facebook friends and their friends and then their friends' friends. I think it only goes 3 levels, but basically if anyone fits that criteria and they're looking to date, show up on your possible matches.
Dang. That's just like the NSA, only 3 levels.
Yeah, I've heard of the most success stories from my friends I've heard about, they're from Coffee Meets Bagel.
Really?
I'm not gonna lie. Coffee Meets Bagel is slightly disturbing, I guess, for me. Since I have a Facebook, but I haven't updated that since a billion light years ago.
But also, Ellie, you would say because a lot of your friends are from New York, that it really wouldn't work out for you because you're no longer in New York. Like if you were to go 3 levels out, your pool, I guess, would be small in that kind of a sense. And also, this kind of makes like psychological sense because these are the people that. Well, I don't know how Facebook works. You know, I don't know why I'm talking, but these are the people that you're friends with, right? So you choose to be friends with these people. So I'm sure their friends have similar interests in some way. Do you know what I mean? I used to use Coffee Meets Bagel, and it was only just to see how many of my friends I can get. But that just makes your dating pool
super insular. Like, how are you going to meet interesting humans if all that you have near you are similar to who you are as a person?
Well, I mean, I'm sure, Ellie, you would want somebody with similar interests. Because here's my thing of it. After, like, let's say you meet somebody who's like, I don't know, a fly fisher, right? So
and
in New York, if you're fly fishing,
I have.
Yes, I know.
To be honest, actually, I actually have somebody.
No,
like,
I know.
Fly fisher.
Did you say what's a fly fisher?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think it's somebody. Let me get the official definition before I look like an idiot. More of an idiot than I am. But it's basically, from what I know, somebody that catches fish that's like,
it's a specific technique. I feel like when they're fishing.
You're right. I'm so sorry.
I should probably Google that.
No, you're right. Eunice, cut this part out, even though I'm editing this one. Fly fishing is an angle method that uses a lightweight lure called an artificial fly to catch fish.
It's just a technique. Also, I've dated someone that's done it. That's kind of like, I feel like I know, maybe question mark, what it is.
It's like, oh, that's really cool. But then once you go fishing and you realize you don't like fishing. Do you know what I mean? That's like another like point of like interest that you don't have in common. Not that you should have all interests in common. I don't think you should have all interests in common. I think people should have different interests. I don't want to be dating myself.
Well, I feel like the idea behind Coffee Meets Bagel is that, you like your friends.
Debatable.
So they're kind of maybe there's a better chance. Maybe there's a better chance you'll like your friends' friends. But
also, your friends can be on there too. They recommend your friends as well.
So I guess I think, because I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some of my friends, they say that they hope to meet someone through me. Like, they ask me, like, do you have any eligible bachelors or someone that you can introduce me to? And especially in the pandemic, but also before the pandemic, there are times where, like, I don't have the opportunity to introduce people, maybe because, like, I don't have the time or their schedules don't match up. So I feel like Coffee Meets Bagel creates, like, that opportunity for your friends to meet each other. And, like, maybe because they both know you and they both like you, maybe they'll like each other.
You always have that friend that you don't like very much, but also you have them as a friend on Facebook.
I was also going to say, I was also going to say, that's why I was like, usually when on Facebook for me, I would try to only add my friends, right? But like, I'm sure most people added like, I met this person once, I'll add them on Facebook.
Sure,
or they added me on Facebook.
In that case, like, let's say your friend matches with someone, it shows that, like, you're the mutual friend, right? They could, like, probably text you on the side, depending on how close they are to you, and be like, hey, who is that person? And then I could be like, I barely know them. Or I could just be like, they're freaking weird, don't talk to them.
But like you just said, why not just go to you and be like, hey,
but then, like, maybe the middle person's busy, or, like, maybe I do want to introduce them, but, like, I don't have the opportunity to do it.
I mean, I think, like I said, I use Coffee Meets Bagel.
Which is why I said,
I don't think I ever went out.
You don't have the experience to talk about this.
I mean, as, like, just from experience, I have been on Coffee Meets Bagels, but it's, I don't know how to describe this. I have a handful of friends. The rest I kind of just, like, ignore, put to background, or just get rid of on my Facebook. And the rest are family members. So the idea that it would pull from, like, my friends and family on Facebook is very upsetting to me, because I have a large, extensive family and they're all on my Facebook. And what if Facebook can't decide whether they're family or not? And it just pops up and they'll be traumatized for life. So, it's just another thing.
Hey, in certain parts of the world, that's perfectly fine.
No. Traumatized for life. I don't want to know what my, like, family members, like, are into. No. To, like, kings to themselves. I don't need to know any of this, But then again, I have, like, a handful of friends. So if anything, I feel like they would tell me directly, hey, I know someone.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe do you want to meet them?
This is a perfect segue to Ellie telling us what you're trying to find in a partner, right? And then maybe Stephanie can get off of her high horse and match you with someone.
Why are you coming after Steph?
Why not Eunice the circle?
Come on now. Do we really want to put into from Eunice's wages again for this?
But why is she in a high horse?
Oh no, Stephanie's not in a high horse. I feel like Stephanie's one of the chillest people I know.
But what did she do?
She did absolutely nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Ellie.
Yes.
Mom was just being difficult for no reason.
I'm just trying to. Give me. Sorry.
He's just trying to.
Yes, I was gonna say that. I'm just. I was like, well, that really sounds terrible if I actually just said it. Give me. I don't want to say top 10 things or top 5 things, but give me things you're looking for. Just start naming things you're looking for.
I do not quite know. I'll tell you when I find it, I guess.
I mean, like, do you want somebody who's loyal?
That's fair.
Well, obviously.
I mean, so loyal is important to you. That's what I'm saying. When you think of, there is no perfect. I personally don't think there's any perfect person for another person.
You don't think that's
perfect? I think there's a lot of people who fit.
God damn! Now
people say I like to start drama.
Take some notes, Mo. That's how you start drama.
First of all, I said I'm
always looking out for my girl.
For most people. Okay. June Boone in the afternoon. You think Christopher's perfect for you? Perfect. He never changed from who he was before. He's always been the same exact person.
No,
he never grew, and you never grew.
We're growing together.
Oh, exactly. So then you couldn't have been perfect at that time.
He's perfect for me.
But that's not what I said. Isn't it?
That is what you said.
I'm just saying, like, perfect as in, like, you've never had any issues? There's never been a problem that's ever come up.
Of
You've never
course there
argued.
have been
Oh,
issues.
wait, perfection. That's what I mean. People search for somebody who is just like.
Okay, sorry. I was just trying to give you a hard time. Just
No,
like you're trying to give Steph a hard time. I'm trying to give you a hard time.
This is actual advice
okay?
because there are some people out there who wait for the what they quote unquote perfect person, and I feel like that
Right.
specifically with like how accessible dating is nowadays. I feel like the perfect person doesn't necessarily just happen to be. It's like a person who clicks on most of your things, and then you can and is flexible to grow with, as you say, grow with you. You know, because if that person never grows, and then 10 years down the line you've grown, I'm not gonna say you're a completely different person, but now they're no longer synced. Do you know what I mean? They could no longer be synced. They could be a little bit out of sync. So I think, get away from the. That's why I say traits that you want in a partner, not necessarily the perfect
I agree
partner.
with you, Mo. The
right?
idea that
Then I build her a
you
robot.
don't. I mean, like if you do find that special someone, like fucking immediately, my God, am I jealous? But also, I don't think that's how it works exactly, because you get to know the person, and the more you get to know them, the more in sync you become, and as the time goes by, you either grow together or just grow apart, kind of like you said earlier.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you do find quote unquote perfect person, when you're 18, by the time you're 28, you're probably a different person. They're probably a different person. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there is no perfect, like, I just don't bet on perfection.
Don't wait for your Prince Charming, because they don't really
ask Natasha, they do.
TV lies. Well, did you jump on Natasha immediately? We're like, this is the one. I'm gonna marry that woman in the future, or I don't know.
Eunice, send her the pic. Send her the video. Thank you very much.
That's like, I have a creepy version of Momo being like that. This is the one. But instead,
immediately without speaking with her.
100%. This was from a window from afar.
You never talked to her before?
No, I think I have talked to her, but you know what I mean? It's just like, I what was it? Well, I think we still had freshman year, I think, at the time.
End of fall semester, we were studying for finals, and Nat and I were in the study hall, and Momo came in, and he started recording us. And started recording Nat's feet for some reason.
Did I record her feet?
I'm sorry.
I did not know I recorded her feet. I'm just going to put this out here right now. I'm pretty sure.
No. Do not defend yourself. I need to know more, Mo, because this is so different from the person that I met from freshman year. It's so separate that my brain can't compute. Let me just explain this. Like I would be the person that would go up to you and then like record you, but I couldn't think that he would do that. Now we're really one person. God damn, I didn't know that was
I tell you this all the time. We're the same person all the time. But I'm just gonna say I probably recorded the feet for some dumb reason. A joke. I just want to put it out there. I'm not necessarily into feet.
We're not kink shaming you here.
Hey, I told you what my kink is.
You do what you gotta do.
Hey, I told you what my kink is. I just don't want people to be like, oh, I heard you like feet. It's like, no.
Just get consent first, right? The consent, and then just do as you please. Goodness me. So you wouldn't know. I want her to finish the story. Please don't interject. I need to know what her point of view is like.
Oh, yeah. So he was recording us studying, focused the camera mostly on Nat's face and feet. So it wasn't just feet. He also liked your face.
Yeah, the whole package.
And, he was just like whispering. He was whispering into the camera like, oh my God, look at her. She's beautiful. And then he would like pan over to me and be like, oh, look at her. She's a monster. And go back and forth just being like, she's beautiful. Oh, she's a monster. So ugly. Oh, but she's so beautiful.
Now I have questions.
I still have that video.
I have tons of questions. First off, how was it that he could go simultaneously from feet to face? Were the feet on top of the table? Did she have her? No. Did she have her shoes on? Or what? Did she like have her? Like, was she just free balling it at the library? Like, what was going on here?
Oh, this was the study hall in the basement of our dorm. But I think she was wearing socks and like in sandals, socks and flip flops or something like that.
Sexy.
And then he was just going back and forth between the face and feet. Like,
I 100% was not going back and forth between the face and the feet.
Yeah, you were. You were going back and forth between face, feet, my face, her face, feet, my face, her face.
You telling me I went to the feet multiple times? You're out of your mind.
I think
I'm pretty
so.
sure I was like, oh, she's beautiful from head to toe.
I
like,
think
look
you
at her
also
beautiful
shot
feet.
my feet. It was like,
Something like
look at her
that.
ugly ones.
Oh, did I? Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, I would recommend people not to do that.
No, that is fucking awful. I didn't know you were a
just
monster, Mo.
I'm gonna put it out there. Eunice says she defends her friend. Now, again, if one of my friends was telling me, "Oh yeah, there's this guy, he kept recording me and my friend, and he kept saying that I was beautiful and
You
she was
would punch
ugly,"
him in the throat.
and going back to the feet in the face, I would tell my friend, don't talk to that person
and I
anymore.
also, I guess another bad move I did was I let you into our dorm.
Oh no, no.
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 You let him do what?
We're moving on.
You let him do what? No,
Cutting this
this
out.
needs to be a sidebar in the future.
No, I mean you can.
Outside of
Eunice,
this.
you could say it. Again. These are all jokes. I just didn't know how to. Know how to put my feelings out there, so I did dumb jokes like this.
I could see it.
No, I mean that was part of the joke too. It wasn't like he was harassing her or anything. She thought it was funny.
Yeah.
No, I mean I would imagine so because you guys are like a human being together.
We are now one human being.
That's the word I was looking for.
Going back to me killing her and then
it.
taking her skin and putting it on top of my body. Yes, we are
That's
now
what
one.
I
Thank
meant.
you.
Oh goodness. The only reason why I couldn't think that was the thing that he would do, I guess he behaved differently because when I first met Mo, I kind of had I'm not a very pushy person, but when I knew when him and I were gonna be friends, flipping immediately, I guess. So I kind of made him my friend. I guess I'm
gonna say my side of how we became friends versus maybe you think of it differently.
No. I can't because if I say anything, I will come out like some sort of dick. So please explain your side.
Okay, I'll explain my side. So I didn't really talk to many people when I went to school, right? Then, all right, we're all together in a group setting. This freshman year, it was like we had all met because we were all in this one group. So we were also taking all classes. We were all pre-med at the time, stuff like that. So we were all taking similar classes. Anyway, we were all commuters as well. So after class, we go to there's a commuter lounge. So we would have a commuter lounge and we would all go there. But I didn't talk to anybody, but I would just follow people because these are the people I was in class with, and they're all going to the commuter lounge, and we all had the same class coming up next. And so I lived 2 hours away, so there's no way I'm going back home to go back to class. So I would just follow them too, but I wouldn't really talk to anybody. Anyway, Ellie, very loud, very talkative to other people. She says she's a hermit, but when she's talking to people that she knows, you can't really tell, right? Then at one point, she comes up to me and she goes, "Me and you, we're going to be best friends for life." Then turns away. And I'm just like,
that's so cute. That's so cute.
She adopted you.
Yeah, 100%, dude. It was so weird because I remember saying to myself, I'm never gonna talk to this girl.
Next thing I know,
again.
It looks like I'm harassing the poor guy. So that's I couldn't compute the fact that he would go up to another human being. So
I mean, this was I
don't know.
This was a couple of months later, not 2 days after we had met. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna put it out there. We're basically the same person. It just took me a couple more months.
Down to become the one person.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Like me. Goodness me! Oh wow! But at least I'm glad that you came out of your shell in really bad jokes after Natasha. I guess
I have a bad habit of using comedy whenever I'm in a situation that I'm either uncomfortable with, or there's a small silence, or there's anything. If I feel a certain type of way and I can't express it, I'll just make a dumb joke.
Yes.
And I'll laugh at it. I feel like a lot of jokes come with some truth. Not all, but a lot of jokes. And so I'll laugh at it and it's like, oh, ha ha ha, I'm joking, but inside I'm dying, you know what I mean? So it's just
because of the embarrassment.
Not because of the embarrassment, because it's just why couldn't I just be like, hey, Natasha, I think you're very beautiful. I would love to take you out. Do you know what I'm saying? But instead, what I did was I pretended that I was just comparing my two friends at the time and saying one's really beautiful and then, putting Eunice down of saying that she's ugly.
Oh, that's fine.
I mean, she is. I don't think Eunice is ugly, but we're going to garnish her wages. I'll tell you that right now.
I knew I was being used for flirting, so I was okay.
No, you had no idea.
Basically, Eunice was being a good friend. Memo.
Was she?
Yeah, I'm
get out of my face.
This is when I would have been useful as a wing woman stupid. Where was I? Fucking nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I'm not a wing woman. I'm just a punching bag.
Yeah, Eunice. Here, I'll give you one thing. I like my friends to be able to take a bullet for me.
Faster for you.
I was gonna say I like my friends taking a bullet for me, and Eunice took that bullet like that. So Eunice, you get your wages back.
Thank
for
you,
this week.
kind sir.
You're welcome. No, but like that's the thing of like specifically when you're young. I feel like with these apps, here's my thing with the apps, and this is just my personal experience. Ellie, chime in if you want to. I think it's so easy. So what my strategy with the apps were, I would just continuously swipe, not because it didn't matter, but essentially the point of it is like if you make it doesn't matter if you don't match. You know, if I look at this person's, this is how I rationalize it in my head. If I look at this person's profile, I'm talking about Tinder because that's the one I mostly used. If I look at this person's profile,
use currently,
and then I really like the person. No,
I
didn't say currently. I said mostly used.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you, so I'm
No, I said
guys,
mostly used. Eunice, when you edit this,
Ellie's on to you now. She's on
Eunice,
to
when you
you.
edit this, I want you to roll it back and just play what I said again, because I'm 100% sure I said mostly used.
No, I'm just gonna put in the.
It's okay. I'm editing this one. I'll do that.
Okay, fine.
Well, yeah. So I would just. There's no point in my mind. I was like, there's no point in me crafting like taking a look at their profile, making sure the girl is not necessarily interesting, but everything, like we have something in common. Da 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 da. I would just keep swiping until we get to a match, and then from the matches, I would look, see. Not rate them, but like see which one I would like to speak to the most, and that's the one I would give my most attention to when I'm writing, and then the others maybe would get a hey or something. And it was terrible. That's a terrible way of going about it in my mind, right? Because it's not what you do with people you meet. If you meet somebody on the, I'm not saying that you have to meet them this way. I'm just saying like the way I was using the app is not the way that I would meet somebody organically, right? I wouldn't go to every single person in the room, ask them if they're interested in me, and then go talk to the people that I'm interested in afterwards. You know what I mean? Like that's essentially what I was doing. Imagine like there was a whole room of people and I just went around talking to each one. What's your name? Okay. I see you. I could take a look at you right now. Okay. All right. Let me talk to the next person. And then keep going. And then ask them if they like me. And if they like me, okay, put you to one side. Like you kind of do that organically, just in a way different way, right? You meet somebody, you're like, oh, there might be something here. And then you explore that. I feel like apps take that kind of away. And it's so hard to bring that back. Like it's, I can't see any
I don't know
app
if this
that ever
is
brought that back.
that relevant to what you're saying. Maybe it is, but this kind of reminds me of. Do you remember that Indian matchmaking show on Netflix? I forget what it's called.
I know what you're talking about.
I forget the name, but
yeah, keep going. I'm gonna look up the
matchmaker in that show. She wasn't very successful, I think, in creating couples.
The show is literally called Indian Matchmaking.
Oh, okay, Indian Matchmaking. Okay, yeah. So. Yeah, the show follows a matchmaker, Indian matchmaker, and all the couples she tries to create and like all the advice she gives each couple. I thought one piece of advice she gave was really good, which was she told her clients to try to just focus on one option at a time. So like so she would like give them 3 options, 3 different like bachelors to choose from, and like tell them like which one do you want to talk to. You can only talk to one at a time. And once you pick one to talk to, like fully explore that possibility. And then if you don't like this person, then you can move on to your next choice. But don't like talk to all 3 at the same time. And I thought that was an interesting approach.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, right? Because like, I feel like it's paradox of choice. The more choices you have, the less you actually choose. Like the less easier it is to choose. Like if you have, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, 20 people that you can go on a date with. There's no, I don't want to say there's no stakes, but there's no necessarily incentive. Like I used to think like, oh, I'll send a text message, and if the person, sometimes the conversation just wanes, and it's nobody's fault, or it could be both of our faults, or it might be just my fault, or maybe just her fault, and then it would just wane, and I'd be like, well, I'm bored. I'm not going to talk to this person anymore. There's been billions of time where I'll text Nat and it's a boring conversation. And it's not like I'm like, well, I'm done with you now.
Right.
And yet for this, I would just be like, well, it's over.
Coming back to Nat in the
but
beginning.
That's what I'm trying to say. Well, we were friends. So that really helped.
Okay.
But
like when you become friends with someone, it's usually because you don't have like 5 boring conversations with them at first, right? I mean, yeah, you eventually have a boring conversation with a friend. But I think when you first meet someone, first few impressions are pretty important in like keeping your interest.
I think it was. I don't know. I think it was more like I wasn't necessarily when you're on these apps, you're looking for your perfect person, quote. So like,
Really?
yeah. So like when I'm meeting, for example, when I met Nat through Eunice, right? It's not like I'm sitting there like Eunice better bring me just people who are perfect just for me. There is no expectation. It's very easy. I'm just meeting a new person. I mean, there are people who do that in the app. I just don't think there are enough. I think again, the apps of like that's why some of them are just like, hey, go have a like. I think Coffee Meets Bagel like tries to help you get coffee, tries to break that barrier in that sense of like, hey, this person, just go get a coffee with them and see what like essentially, like you said, Eunice, instead of you like sort of setting up somebody with your friend, you kind of are in a hands-off way, right?
Yeah.
Of like you kind of remove the tension of like, hey, we know that person, we can talk about. You kind of have like, oh, remember when Eunice embarrassed herself by falling? Remember that story? It's just like, oh, and then you can, you have something to at least talk about. Like, but again, it's just like, I think the mentality of apps for most of the time, at least when I was using them, it was all wrong. It was all like, I want it kind of instant. You know what I mean? Like when you order delivery on DoorDash or whatever, you're trying to look for somebody who can deliver food now. Sometimes they'll give you like a 2-hour wait and you're like, I'm not waiting this. I'll get something else. You're also thinking about that in the sense of like waiting 3 hours for somebody that you could potentially live your entire life with. What's 3 hours? So I find it very interesting that there are people who meet through these apps, but I feel like as soon as you meet that person, the app is kind of like useless. Like most people want to jump off of the app as soon as possible. Is what I feel.
Right.
Like when you meet that, hey, do you have an Instagram? Hey, let's text. When you can still be using the app, but you're not. It's more like, hey, we've shifted away from. We're no longer just Tinder matches. Yeah. Now this is going somewhere.
I feel like the apps kind of work as like the matchmaker, but as a robot or an algorithm or something. So it's just a way to get into a network, and then once you connect with someone, you can get out.
Okay. All right, Ellie. Think about things that you would want in a partner. Eunice, when you were single, what were you looking for in a partner? Things that you were looking for.
I actually had no standards.
Oh, geez.
No, but so as in, I understood what Ellie was saying earlier about how like she didn't really know what she was looking for because I didn't have a set idea or set plan. Like, oh, he has to have a job, or he has to have a degree, or he has to be Asian, or he has to be taller than me, stuff like that.
And yet it all became true.
No, but I kind of just went with whoever I was attracted to. I was like a boy crazy person since like elementary school. So like every guy I had a crush on, I tried to go for them.
They don't call us mangoes for nothing,
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's an approach too. I mean, you're taking my Tinder approach of just swiping right on everybody and doing it.
But like also doing it one at a time.
Yes. Okay. But like slowly but surely.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure things.
I think because of my approach, right? I got into some bad relationships, but the bad relationships really showed me what a good relationship didn't look like. You know what I mean? So that once I finally got a good relationship, I knew it was good.
Yes.
Because I could compare it to the bad ones.
So I mean, I think, not that I've been in too many relationships, right? But things that I was looking for was somebody who I wanted somebody who can not necessarily put all their time in me, but like made it like a fact, not a fact, but like made it a priority to talk to me. I need somebody where I'm not necessarily I want to be a part in your life at all times, but like if I don't talk to somebody all day, I want them to text like, hey, not every day, but like I'm usually the type of person to text anybody something dumb. Like, oh, hey, I found a pebble today. It looked like a chicken. It's not necessarily a conversation. Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? But if I then stop talking and the person doesn't check in, I feel like there's not that there's something wrong with that. But you hear stories all the time of like, my wife, she took our credit cards and she ran it for $300,000 and I had no idea. And, it's just like, okay, but that would mean you never talk to your wife. Not never talk to your wife, but essentially like you never said, hey, where'd you get that? Hey,
so like
what did you buy?
You want to be so close that
not 300.
There are no secrets
not necessarily
between you.
No secrets, but like I am a priority, right? Not at the end of the day, they might say goodnight to me. Not every day, but you know what I mean. hey, they might like once I come in, like, hey, how was your day? Do you know what I mean? Not I'm working. Let me talk to you later or something like that. Somebody that when no matter what, I know I kind of has my back, both emotionally and physically, essentially. Right?
Mhm.
Like I know with everybody that's in this group right now, I can text them at any time, like, hey, I need your help real quick. And I'm sure all of them will drop what they're doing and help me out. Right?
Yeah, but what's the
That's
difference
what I'm talking
between
about.
like friend qualifications and significant other qualifications?
Well, I mean, it's just your tolerance of how much I can text you. You know? No. I'm just saying, like these are qualities that you can have friend qualities that are also partner qualities, right? This is a quality that there are people sometimes that I would message on. We would be in a conversation, and it seems like it's going all well, and then I'll ask not an important question, but like a question, and then the person won't respond, and then like 4 days later they'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's just like you could have been busy. I understand, like, but it doesn't take. It only takes like 10 seconds to say, "Hey, I'm a little busy at like I'm getting a little busy at work. Let me talk to you later." Do you see what I'm saying? Like, not necessarily make my priorities and like drop everything to just talk to me. I'm not high maintenance like that, but like essentially like enough respect, I think, to I'm busy. I'm gonna come back to you later, and then actually, come back to me later. Not necessarily leave. So there are some relationships like, oh hey, well, like, how's your girlfriend doing? Oh, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's up to. Like they don't care about their partner's hobbies, what they care about. I'm talking about somebody who actually like is interested in you for the things that you do.
Is this something you were looking for though before you dated Nat?
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like there would be times where I always hated this, and I get it. It happens all the time where I'm talking to somebody. It seems like we're having a great conversation, and then it would just stop cold. Like, no, hey, something came up at work. Not that I'm owed an explanation, but it was just more like I got like not impatient, but like what happened.
I mean, I feel like that has to do with
busy.
chemistry though, because I think someone who's genuinely enjoying talking to you will try to get back to you. Whereas, like someone's busy, but also kind of finds their conversation boring, they won't try so hard to get back to you.
You can tell though. You could definitely tell with the type of people that seem like want to continue the conversation or the ones that do not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like exactly, you could tell. It's like we're in a like, oh hey, what are your passions? Oh, like a quick example of one that I remember that's just being that was like the epitome of the story that I'm talking about, right? I swiped with this woman, and she was a chef, like a professional chef, or she was studying to become a chef. I apologize, right? So I was like, oh, we were talking about like cooking, and I watch a lot of Cooking Network and a lot of cooking shows, and I'm a terrible cook, right? So I'm talking to her like, oh, like what do you like to make? And the conversation's going. We're talking about, I can't remember the exact details. We're talking about like Cooking Network, da 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 da. And then I was like, oh, like you got to teach me how to cook something, yada yada yada. I think I asked her like, what's your favorite thing? I think the ending of the conversation was like, hey, what's your favorite thing to make? And then nothing, right? And so it was just like, again, this is all me, right? I was just like, oh well, like something may have came up, right? I get it. But then like days went on. It's not like I was looking, right? But it was just like days had come on, and then she messaged me back, hey, how's it going? Like no response to the other thing, no response. Like, so then it's like, okay. And then nothing new. Like, hey, you remember that Kitchen Nightmares? I watched an episode of Kitchen Nightmares yesterday, and I was thinking of the time that time you said I was watching that episode that you talked about. No, it's just like, hey, how's it going? So then the conversation has to start up again. And again, this is very nitpicky, but it was just like, I feel like it just takes, specifically in the beginning, it just takes the wind out of the entire thing. Like, okay, well, I guess you're not interested. Yeah. Like Ellie said, right? I guess this person's not interested. So I've moved on to my other 3,000, not 3,000 matches, but the other, matches that I may have had.
I think that indicates like a lack of chemistry. Yeah. I don't think it's like a specific kind of person who does that. Like,
no.
Like, I think everyone does that. Like, I shamefully admit that there are conversations I ignore when I get bored of them.
Never any conversations between me and you, right, Eunice?
But if you have good chemistry with someone, you wouldn't do that. Anyway, sorry, Steph, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Might have been playing the field a little, and then she had some conversations she was prioritizing, and then those died, and you were basically like Plan B. See?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
You weren't like a bad match, but you were like not the top match.
No, I get it. I mean, putting in chef terms, I was on the back burner. I get it.
Wait, Steph, I want to hear about your dating days and your dating criteria. Cause didn't you play the field?
Yeah, I would say that this is kind of before apps took off, or I just found it. Just wasn't really interested in using online apps because not a lot of people were using them then.
What year was this?
It was like 2013, 14. No, 2012, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would just like go to bars with like a girlfriend and like meet guys that way. I met my current partner at work.
Wait, so were you looking for like did you have criteria that you were looking for like a guy, or were you just having fun
I think
at the time?
then it was just more like physical attraction.
Ooh.
I would say like long term it would have to be someone that I get along with, like you can like laugh with them a lot. I think that's the most important thing, and then kind of align your values. I would say in my beginning I was just trying to like, I was kind of being a hoe, you know, but it's okay. I'll admit it.
Again, they don't call us mangoes for nothing.
No, like I knew you had your hoe days. I just like when I was saying you were playing the field, I didn't want to outright say it.
Mine's nothing wrong with being very like sexually active or open.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. Own it, girl. Own it.
Yeah, definitely.
I 100% concur. As not a woman, yes.
I mean, guys can be hoes too.
Again, it's called mangoes for a reason. We're the three mangoes. No, I think in the beginning, yes, go have your fun. But essentially, there are times where you're like, okay, this is not turning from fun, and it's like things like people who put you in a priority. Do you know what I mean? Not make you feel special, but essentially make you feel special, make you feel heard, make you feel wanted. You start to single that out, right? You don't want somebody who makes you feel like shit. I don't think, right? Yeah. For the majority of people, I'm speaking here for majority of people, right? You want somebody who, like Steph said, makes you laugh, right? If you have two different senses of humor, and like you don't like the other person's jokes or something like that, it's going to be hard to work it out. Values are also very important. You know, if you're diehard religious and the other person hates religion, that's going to be very hard to stay together.
True.
So I think like values are very important. Not that you can't, like, if one's a Republican, the other a Democrat, for example, not to bring politics in, that doesn't mean it can't work out. It could work out. I'm just saying, like, a lot of values have to be the same. You know, both have to care for each other. And it's hard to find that until you finally get to. That's what I'm saying. These apps, you don't get to. Nobody's going to be like, hey, actually, I don't care about other people on their profile. You know, so it's very hard to do it in that kind of a sense.
Though.
And so, no, get out of here.
You could 100% tell about the people through their profiles, like the ones that legitimately give zero fucks about other humans and not only want sex partners, and the ones that are kind of seeing where it could go or whatever the language is these days, or the ones that kind of want something serious.
No, I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about people who, even in a relationship, you know, I'm sure we've all had friends, right, where one of the partners doesn't care for the relationship, you know, either like one of them is disrespectful to the other, or they're just like consistently saying, oh, you know, I'll see where this goes, da 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 da. You know, I once had a friend who, when I met their boyfriend, right, I was just like, he rubbed me the wrong way. He didn't seem interested in the relationship. They had introduced this person as their boyfriend, and then like later on, it seemed like he was talking about hitting about other women. And so I was just like, this seems a little off. I had just met. No, Eunice, you don't know this person. We had just met, and I was just like, it seemed a little off. And then I was like, oh, maybe they've only known each other a couple of seconds. But even so, right? So I asked my friend, like, oh, how long you've known them? And they've known them for like years. I was just like, oh, dang. It just seemed like if they weren't, you know, physically together, you would, not that you need to know that they're in a relationship, he would seem like he was single. He was acting like he was single and ready to goddamn mingle. And he had his fucking Pringles. He was ready to, like, in front of his own girlfriend, essentially, like, hit on other women. That's what I'm saying. That's not on the profile.
It depends on what kind of relationship they have. That's what I feel like. If that's the way that they're behaving, they could have some sort of understanding that it could be an open relationship, maybe.
No.
True.
This again, not
But I
known as. That's
understand
not
what you
saying.
mean by like
right?
someone being more invested in the
Yes.
relationship than the
Yes,
other.
exactly. It seemed like this other person was just in the relation. Steph was saying before they had other people on the back burner, but except this was a relationship. Well, they had this relationship, but it seemed like they were just going out to see if there was anything better, which is just like it's so. I feel like once you specifically for when you're younger, when you're in love, you really don't see anything outside of the relationship, right? And so I always pause if your friends don't like your partner or significant other or the person you're seeing. Right. I'm not saying I dump them. I'm just saying take that, evaluate it, see what they're saying, try to remove yourself from the situation, and figure it out. These are your friends that you've known for a while. I've known other friends where you can give them as much advice as they want, and it just goes in one ear and out the other. And yes, Eunice, now I'm talking about somebody that you know.
Oh, I
And
love
it's just
these little
like,
insider jokes
100%.
or messages.
Yeah, this is not called the Mangoes for nothing, Ellie. Unfortunately, you're not
really
part of the
a joke.
Mangoes. You never ate a mango. Get out of my
It's not
face.
But I
really
wanted to
joke,
be a
it's
host so
tragedy.
It's too
bad.
late now. But you know what I mean? Like,
Can't I be
Aw,
honorary?
no.
today you can be an honorary. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Eunice, you know what I'm gonna do?
Okay.
You're right. Eunice, you're right.
Welcome.
I'm so sorry, Ellie. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna garnish Eunice's wages again. Even though I
Wow.
gave it back to her, I'll take
Oh
them
my
out. I'll get
goodness.
you
So it has to
a
be
mango.
the
I'll send
same
it to you.
terrible mango
I'll
that
send
you
you
made
a
us
Trader
eat.
Joe's gift card for. You have to get the pre-sliced mangoes.
Yeah.
Goodness
Terrible.
me.
Unripened. They were
I
unripened.
I mean, I don't want to put this in like a bad view, but wow, Mo, what the fuck was that? You're not even gonna cut your own wages to give me some. Now you're gonna cut down another woman to like give me
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Why would you do that?
You just
Why?
outed me. You know what?
Ooh.
Why would you do that, bro? And
I know,
record it.
right?
I'm just gonna say this right now. For this podcast, Eunice gets paid more than I do. To this right now.
Oh,
You're
thank
welcome.
you, thank you.
Even with her garnished wages, she still gets paid more than I do.
Yeah, Ellie should join the Mangoes. I love this new addition. Backing me up.
Oh, you just see, this is why I
Oh my
hate
goodness.
when my friends meet my other friends. I don't like
But
this
I
going
think
on.
you-
This is
You
stealing
call us
going on.
Mo,
Shit.
I do want to let you know that I did know Eunice.
I know,
before.
but like,
Yeah, we
I'm
met
bringing
before.
the two of you back together to talk again.
Oh
This
my
is my
gosh,
own doing.
Ellie, I was actually
My
thinking to
undoing.
myself this whole time, like, does she remember we met before?
Yes, yes,
And I'm
I
glad
did.
that yay! It was that one time, right? It was like one random
It was-
night at Lafayette.
Yes, and it was also a couple of times at the commuter lounge where we, I guess, make eye contact, prolonged eye contact, and then that'll be it.
Yeah. Well, I always felt like I didn't belong there because I wasn't a commuter,
You didn't
sadly.
belong there.
Thanks.
Okay, so sorry. Please carry on. What you were saying was very
Yes.
interesting before I interrupted.
Yeah.
I
Oh, sending
apologize.
you
What were you
a
saying?
mango.
Mm-hmm.
No, so I think like people who I think here's what you need to do. Not what you should do or you need to do. Here's what I think is the best thing to do. I think go out there, go meet a lot of people, go have fun if you want to have fun,
Mhm.
right? But at a certain point, you're going to be seeing people, and I think it should be people who show that they care about you, who doesn't give bad signals to your friends.
Right.
I know Eunice's partner and I know Steph's partner, and it's not like when I met them, I was like, oh, this is giving me bad signs. It should be somebody that shows, like, I can see that both of their partners cares for Eunice and Steph, respectively, without, like, it being, like, direct. I'm not talking about the lovey-dovey stuff. You can see it, I mean, if you're attention detailed, you can see it in small things. The way they pick up after something, the way they, like, take care of the other person kind of thing, and those kind of mannerisms. And, like, there are things that but people also need to know is that, A, there's no perfect partner, A, and B, there are things that you're going to have to work on. Every couple is going to fight, but it shouldn't be disrespectful. Never should the other person disrespect the other person. It should be...
No, please carry on.
I'm just going to say, like, like, it should come... Like, you can have your disagreements, and you're going to grow together. And that's the thing, is, like, can you see you growing with this person? If you can't see it, I don't think it's a good relationship. That's one of the main things that I want to say is, like, if you can't see you growing with this person, right? Because they can be, as we spoke before, perfect now, but you also have to see if you're going to have to do some kind of future seeing. Are they perfect for the future?
I don't know.
Not necessarily perfect for
I
the
feel
future.
like you really can't predict
No,
that.
there's no obviously there's no prediction, but, like, for example, if you're trying to, for example, go from an apartment to saving up to buy a house, but your partner is doing absolutely nothing to save, or you value saving money so much and you want to save with your partner. Not that you can have separate. I don't know why I'm bringing money into it, but that's one of your values is saving as a family. And the other person just doesn't care. Will take your money and just use it whenever they want without like a planned, financial plan. And that's what you value. I think that's disrespecting the person who has a planned value. And vice versa. If you try to have somebody who they like spending their money discretionally, they like to use it whenever they want to use it, and you try to like tell them, hey, you have to save your money, you have to give me 30% of your money, and I'm going to put it in an account for us. I think that's also not going to work out. There has to be compromises.
I completely agree with you, especially with the last part that there has to be a bit of compromise. Yes. But that's the later stages that come to it. Like that's not right off the bat. You don't have these, I guess, nice little checkpoints, I guess, in your relationship. Would you like touch each other like, hey, how are you? Like, are you doing? No, that doesn't exist at all in the beginning, just especially with the apps these days.
Yes. But I feel like, right now we're moving beyond the apps of like the beginning. We're going to come back to you, Ellie, in a second of like, how is it again? Like when you go on dates, give us some of your dates.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Give us the stories.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like right now?
I mean, I'll pan. Think about it. I'll pan and I'll ask Steph, Eunice, if you were to put one important thing in any relationship, not just your relationship, any relationship, what would it be?
What? Oh, okay.
Like, what's the most important thing in a good relationship?
Sure, Eunice.
I don't know what to say.
I'll go. I think one of the most important things is the conversation. You have to be able to talk to your partner.
Okay.
And not just talk as in like, oh, you're having a good time, but actually discuss things of importance. It's very hard where it seems like one is the parent. Sometimes you'll see people like, well, one is the parent, they're taking care of the other person kind of thing. And I don't think that's great. Or you see people who disrespect the other person all the time. And I don't think that's great. You should feel comfortable with almost telling your partner, later on, not like right when you meet, later on, you should be comfortable telling your partner almost anything. Almost anything. There are things that you still want to, embarrassed about or whatever it is. But like you got a promotion and but it could be more work. You should be comfortable talking to your partner about it.
I would say that an important thing in a good / healthy relationship is that both individuals are in like a good state mentally. They're like comfortable with themselves, like physically. Also, like they know what's important to them. So like they're not in the phase of trying to find themselves, trying out a bunch of new things. They're very confident in who they are.
I can sort of agree with that, but I also think in a relationship, a lot of time in a great relationship, your partner gives you more confidence.
Yeah, but there's like a certain baseline.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Like you should be. You're not changing yourself.
If you do break up, it's not like everything's shattered.
I see.
So I agree with what Steph said, but I guess to add something to it, I think what's important in relationships is it's like a balance between self-love and empathy. And to be honest, I feel like I only achieve that in my relationship because I go to therapy. So I feel like everyone should go to therapy.
I agree.
I agree too, even though I don't go to therapy.
Even though I don't go to therapy either, but I've known plenty of people who've gone to therapy and it's helped them immensely. And
I know.
I should be going to therapy. Steph, let's go to therapy together.
So I think that everyone has a flawed view of love because I don't know. Everyone has. Yeah, maybe not everyone. I just want you to back away from it. Like,
you say most people.
Most people.
There we go.
I would say have a flawed view of love, maybe because of their upbringing. Not every parent is perfect, and not every parent's relationship is perfect. So I think there are a lot of struggles that you can face when it comes to matters of love. Struggles such as like possessiveness, how to properly address your anger, how to understand someone else who grew up or thinks so differently from you.
Can I just pause you right here, Eunice? Because I think you hit on a great spot too. All good relationships are work. It's when you're not willing to put in the work is when you know you're probably not. That's probably a good sign to know you're not in a good relationship. when either you're not willing to put in the work or the other person isn't willing to put in the work. I think that's very important, Eunice, as you're saying. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say, like, all good relationships.
Yeah, no, I
are
agree.
Work.
I don't know. I think every relationship has, or not every, most
relationships you can say every
relationships
if you want to.
have. Yeah, but maybe I shouldn't generalize too much. But most relationships, I think, have a quote unquote honeymoon stage. So, you know, like you're really attracted to someone, you really like them blindly, and then the work kind of comes after, right? After like you get over how amazing they are or whatever, and then the real problems come in. So I would just say that therapy, or at least some kind of outlet, really helps, because it's really good to remind yourself to not only have like empathy for the other person and to kind of try to see where they're coming from, but also to have a sense of self-love and self-awareness to understand exactly where you're coming from. Because you may think you know where you're coming from. You may think you're 100% right about everything, but a lot of your ideas about love, sometimes it comes from your childhood, it comes from what your parents taught you, and it might not necessarily be right. So that's why I say it's a balance between self-love and like knowing yourself, and also like being empathetic to the other partner, to your partner.
Or partners.
Or partners, yeah. You could be a polyamorous person.
Well said, Eunice.
Well, yeah. Snaps for
Seriously. Snap.
Wow.
For Snap.
Am I getting paid?
Eunice, I will no longer be able to garnish your wages. Now I'm going to make Steph in charge of payments so that Steph can garnish your wages.
Wait, this doesn't seem like a reward.
Steph, you can garnish Eunice's wages whenever you see fit.
I'll keep on mine, but I probably won't.
Okay.
Yeah, Steph is more fair than you.
Okay, Ellie. It's the time that everyone's been waiting for. We did the stories. Give us your dating stories.
Okay, so first off, like the sort of person that I usually look for when I'm going through, like just swipe. It is first, because Tinder is what it is. So if I see something that I find attractive, I will see the photo, and then if maybe there's a second photo, then I will briefly read the description if there's a description. Sometimes I have just thrown away a human that I found very attractive just because of whatever douchery they wrote on the description. And I can't even, okay, so the human would be like, oh, I only like people who are like tall, or I only like date like Hispanics. Also, that for me, that's a glaring, like, what is this? Only Hispanics? What is this? I get it, you're entitled to your own preferences, but there's a certain point where you fetishize another person, and that could be trouble later on. But to each their own, I guess. But that's just something that I find a little wary of. Another thing, what else? So I would just swipe until, and then I would message them, because why not? It would be something benign, like, hey, what's up? Or how's the day going? Something super benign. And then if they would reply, it'll be great. And if not, then move on, I guess. So that's what you were saying earlier with the attention span of like a guppy when it comes to dating, because there's always another human who may be a better match, I guess, Mo. And then, but I've been even told that, okay, so I'm a very like sort of aloof person when it comes to these things. I message, not always almost immediately, but I will message, is either with an explanation of why I haven't messaged, or saying that nothing will come of this conversation, and I thank them for their time. I have thanked people for their time, and quite a few. I have been called like polite, so which makes me kind of question what kind of like soulless monsters have they been matched with that doesn't even say this is going nowhere or thanks, bye. At least a bye would be great. So I usually do that. I have told quite a handful of humans that wasn't going to work out just because we had a difference of opinion, and they wouldn't, like, I understand their point of view just because of like my profession, just because of who I am. I am kind of a very accommodating person. You would have to say something severely upsetting for me to actually get upset. But then at one point I was like, thank you for your time in the middle of the day, I guess. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere between us. And if that's okay with you, we can continue the conversation. But I don't think this is going to go anywhere, like romantically or sexually. And then I have people who have just gone up and like walked away, which is great, I guess, because that's the end of that and I can move on with my life. And the other chances that they have stayed is, okay, so this happened like a couple of weeks ago. I went on a date. Also, we had our masks on, very public area because you don't know what sort of humans you would meet outside. And we went to a Starbucks. So we sat on like the designated areas or whatnot that were actually clean, I guess. So we had our masks on, we were sitting there. Then they were telling me they were very just like beautiful. So I thought things were gonna, and they were saying very intelligent things. So I thought maybe we would have a second date or it would go somewhere. But then they like sneaked this by me. They said, as a conversation, because of course COVID, I said, what do you think about the vaccines? Because they're where I am right now. There's been an issue with the rollout of the vaccinations, and they're not handling it very well. So that's a topic of conversation at the moment. So I said that, and then they something which I found a little bit interesting, but I guess people's and conspiracies where I am right now in my state, it's interesting. They said something about microchipping and with the vaccines, and then I thanked them like, hey, by the way, why do you think this? Could you please explain a little further? And then as I got to the conversation, I've noticed that they were very conspiracy theorists, and mind you, they I don't know. I didn't expect that right off the bat, you know? I didn't expect that they would like hit me with that immediately. I didn't know that people were just telling other humans they first meet at first glance, hey, these are my conspiracy theories. Are these yours as well? So that was very interesting. And I told them, hey, just to let you know, I don't feel this way. And I would try to explain just because I'm in like a public health field, and I would tell them, and they were very adamant to no. Also, there were anti-vaxxers, and I have very strong feelings about anti-vaxxers, but I wasn't going to get into a conversation with them on a date. So I kind of like just thanked them for the time, and like kind of, see, they would explain their point of view. After they did, we both went our separate ways. But yeah, so I've been told that I am a bit polite, but also I'm very curious. So that's why I put myself in interesting situations, which are not the greatest, but that's that.
So to interrupt, just to make sure. So what you're telling me is you went on a date with somebody. How long were you talking to that person
before they dropped the vaccination thingy?
How long were you talking like on the app? Or did you just go meet up with coffee?
No, we talked for about like a week.
Okay, and there was no inclination of them being an anti-vaxxer or talking about their conspiracy theories.
Excuse me, we would just be talking about things like, like our favorite book series. This is why it's interesting when you have a little bit in common and then you wish to learn more about them. So we were talking about our favorite book series, and then we moved on to our anime series, and it was great. We had a wonderful conversation, and I wanted to meet them face to face, I guess. So I invited them.
Okay, so you invited the other person. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? And no inclination of anything like being anti-vaxxers. You said that it was like the topic of conversation just around the time of vaccines and stuff like that, being in a COVID. I'm assuming this was in a COVID situation. And nowhere did you talk online about the vaccine or anything like that, or what's going on.
But I would talk about things like being safe with COVID, and that we would have to like keep our masks on or anything like that. Oh, right. Side note. Oh, perfect story. This baffles me how interesting. I don't want to call this human dumb, but just the mindset that some people have. It kind of like scares me a little bit in terms of COVID. So mind you, this human and I we were going back and forth conversations and things like that. We were talking about video games, and we were on
this is the same person, right?
A normal. No, different human. This is a side note. This is a sidebar. This is another human that I went on a date with. I guess I forget the question for you said for the first human. That's why I bet. So I'm going to continue with the second human. So we just kept talking. We were, I guess, reminiscing about Borderlands 2 and like the stories that happened because we were doing Borderlands 3 at the time. And then we went into Lara Croft, and then we got into like a slight argument over like the Lara Croft mechanics. and things like that. Who would get into an argument with about the game? I don't understand, but okay. So before we even met, me being the person that I am, I guess I asked them about COVID and like how they have been handling it and things like that. And then they would mention things like, "Oh yeah, I was just over at like my buddy's house and there were people there, and you know what? I don't think that COVID is a real like as emergency as people believe it to be." And then I don't stop the conversation right there just because I want to know what happened, what made them think that way. So I asked them, "So why do you think so?" And they're like, "Oh, I had a couple. This is like almost. This is not how he talks, but this is how he talks to me now. I guess in my head, I had it a couple of weeks ago, and it was it wasn't such a bad thing. And that's when like there would be like a record scratch, kind of like in the whole conversation. But again, I don't stop. I kind of want to know more.
It's just to interrupt you. It's crazy because you are so into kind of infectious diseases and stuff like that. HIV being a virus, and not that COVID is HIV, but they're two separate viruses. But it's so crazy that I'm sure that came up in your own like in the conversation with the person, like, "Oh, what do you study?" or like, "What do you do?" And this person thought that someone who's in like viruses and stuff, I'm just gonna tell them that this virus isn't real. Essentially, I think that's just hilarious.
Before I explain that, there's a reason why they didn't actually quite know that. But let me finish with the story about human number 2 before I go into human number 3 and explain why I don't actually go into details of what I'm studying, because it's very interesting. So with the second human, they're telling me that they have COVID. They've had COVID. They don't think it's a big thing. And then they asked to meet me, and then that's when I'd be like, "I'm so sorry. I don't feel comfortable meeting you. And thank you, I guess, for your time. But I guess you'd be better off keep searching for your Tinderella. But thanks for the conversation, I guess." And then they would be like, "No, it's literally nothing. People are making a big deal." So he would continue the conversation and arguing with me about something that I know he seems and he is in the wrong of. But like I still let him say his piece because I'm not, I guess, rude, I guess. But then I would also explain the statistics and things like that. But I guess that goes over their head. But so the reason why I don't necessarily tell the people that I meet on like Tinder or Bumble or whatever the flip what I'm studying exactly, I tell them I'm a grad student because I guess they need to know a little bit more about who I am or what makes me me. But I don't tell them, "Oh yeah, so I'm like super cautious with cities just because I study them and I know what happens or why it happens when things go wrong. So like it's always like an interesting conversation when that gets there, but I don't go into details, mostly because I've gone into dates with human number I'm sorry, this is like before I forget because it's just a bit of a ramble. I've gone on dates with human number 3, and as I go with dates I live and learn, I guess. A human number 3 got, and this happened multiple times with different other humans, they got very intimidated about what I'm studying or how I am with my academia and things like that. And I don't like throw people my background. I don't throw it at them. It's not something I say immediately. No. And it's because it's not the first thing that I look in another human,
people
get
men or people that you would see get intimidated by you being a grad student, essentially.
And just how much like master's degrees I'm accruing, I guess. And I guess it would feel one of them explained to me that it made them feel inadequate, and then they thanked me and they walked away. I'm like, I guess that's okay. But then some of them would act hyper masculine, and I am just not okay with that. I'm a bro's bro. Like I get it. But no, there's certain things that are not okay. But that's why I don't usually like throw it at people. "Hey, by the way, I'm a PhD student." No. That's not how it should go.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to show off or anything. But I don't know. I feel like guys who immediately get intimidated by that, personally, I don't think they're worth your time.
Oh, they
I
really
feel like they
weren't.
automatically filter by that.
I was gonna
Just
say,
put it on
I
their
would say put
profile.
it in. Well, I think she's saying like, then these guys will come up and be hyper masculine because they know like, oh, yeah.
Right,
But I mean,
you
like,
know they're
it's so
douchebags.
interesting because it's like, I don't know, like if I see somebody, like if I was to go dating and somebody like Ellie who has like master's degree, doing their PhD, yada yada yada, I feel like I wouldn't. I mean, again, being a guy, it makes no sense for me to be difficult in a way of like, oh, okay, great. So like this person's smart. That's great. I need somebody who can tell me based on like, do you know what I mean? It feels so weird not to, like Natasha is smarter than I am. She's way more like, I would say, work driven. She's got better even habits than I have, right? I think it motivates. That's what I'm saying. It motivates me to be essentially a bit better, right? So it seems weird that you want somebody that you view lesser than you. That seems weird to me. Like I want to feel, like the guy wants. I mean,
Like
I get it, right? It's
wants
like it was a whole big thing, but it just seems weird to me to want somebody that's like that I would feel better than. Not that anybody's better than anybody, but that's what they're essentially looking for.
I mean, I feel like it's just the result of patriarchy.
A traditional gender roles.
Right? It's just how boys are raised, that they're supposed to be the alpha or whatever in their relationship. So having the girl smarter than them is something to be ashamed of. I mean, I know, like, Momo, you're not like that, but I know a lot of guys are like that, or they were raised that way.
Yeah, but it seems weird to like try to do it with somebody who has a PhD. Do you know what I mean?
Actually, there's a statistic, not to discourage you, Ellie, but I know I remember there was like a statistic somewhere that said that the smarter a woman is of education, like if a woman has a PhD, the less likely she wants to marry, or that she is to marry. I read this in an article. Maybe I'll link it. Maybe I'll look it up later. But I mean, the reasons the article gave, it's because usually the more educated a woman is, the more she's just like, wait, why would I even want to get married? Marriage is usually very disadvantageous to women because historically women get abused in marriages, or they just have to deal with these like shitty guys who want to be the patriarch in the family. Or
I think that's changing slowly.
Men are intimidated by them. Yeah, it is changing slowly, but I do feel like our generation's kind of in this transition between these like old traditional values and the new ones that we're creating. Like, I think this group is, we all live in the East Coast. We're on the coast, and we're relatively well educated.
I'm an idiot.
I don't think I don't know. I don't think the rest of the country, or even a lot of men in our area, think the same way that we do, in that it doesn't matter who's the breadwinner of the family, or it doesn't matter who has the better, quote unquote, better degree in the relationship. It doesn't matter. Like, the partnership's a partnership, you're equals, you work together. I don't think everyone necessarily thinks that way.
But definitely they do not. I'm just saying right now, I've also dated humans who, I guess, just because of the nature that dating is in Tinder, and I guess there's a lot of men and women who are very materialistic. So then one way of attracting another human would be to be like, oh, I have all this money. I have all of these things. Look at all my ads. Right? But the thing is that...
Yeah, I think that's a tactic used
and that's great.
When you have nothing else. It's very easy to flaunt money. Right? Like, if I don't know how to interact with somebody, I can just flood them with gifts kind of mentality. Not that everybody's doing this. There are people who do it just because they like making people feel smaller in some sort of way. But there are times where I could see like, oh man, I don't know how to talk to this, pretty girl. So let me get her flowers and I'll give her a card and I'll have my intentions on it. For example. I'm saying there are some people who do that.
But I've had conversations with humans, I guess, that they were great and everything. This is another human. I've gone on a lot of dates with a lot of interesting humans. So this human trying to impress me with him being all sorts of money or whatever, And this is what he said to I guess, because I don't usually tell people off the bat, hey, so I have all these degrees. I don't go and say that, but I do, like, they know that I am right now studying at the college that I am at, and that I'm a grad student. So they would, I guess, try and impress me with their previous academic and slash money availability. I guess I don't know how to say it exactly, but it would be. I have stories where one of them would be like, "Oh, so I wanted to NYU and I paid it off," and so in my head, I'm just having flashbacks, like, "Oh, I went there and I had like a really great GPO and I had scholarships. So please tell me more about how you paid." So and they wouldn't know that I also went to that school. So this human just kept on bragging and bragging about money this, money that, and like NYU this, NYU that. I'm like, yes, okay, yes.
Oh my gosh.
And then when
I feel like sorry.
No.
Continue.
And then I offhandedly say, "Go Bobcats." He just like looked at me a little funny, like, "What do you mean Bobcats?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." Or like, "Go Violet."
Wow.
Like, what?
You don't even
Yeah,
know
our
our
mascot
mascot.
is me.
Come
Yeah.
on.
I even went with the Violets and nothing. Just like plain blank. And then the only conversations that this human would have with me are things like, "Oh, my car this, oh, my house that." I'm like, cool, but do you have anything of substance? Like, I mean, I get it. Money is important, I guess, to live.
Here's what I
most
think you should
definitely.
do.
But
The next time somebody's like that, be like, "Oh yeah, you're having your own is somewhat impressive. But can you buy me a house in my name right now? This house, as we damn speak. Now that would impress me." And see what they say. Maybe you get a free house out of this, Ellie. I think you've been going around the wrong this entire time.
No. Oh, right. I was joking about that because right now, just because I've been in school for like a number of years, and I guess I was joking offhandedly, and I said, well, I have quite a bit of loans that, I'm drowning in them slightly, but also I'm serious. He would just looked at me. He just looked at me like, "Okay, cool, I got you." I'm like, no, I'm an independent woman. I could do this, but I've got loans. So you may not want to like hang around me because all your money will go poof if you like as much as touch me. So I tried to make it off as a joke, but I guess not. And then I like offhandedly continued to say, this is the same human with the whole Go Bobcats thing. Like, I went to the same school, and I know the same teachers that you're talking about. I know who they are. And my favorite part was when because he did Molexcel and like a whole bunch of other things, and he also did like one anthropology class with a professor that I was very close with. And he was telling me about he was an awful professor and that he didn't do things. He was very quote unquote unique with his teaching style. And I'm like, dude, tell me more. Mind you, I like in my head I was not gonna date this human or go any further from that conversation, but I wanted to know what was going on in his life. So I don't stop the conversation. If anything, they just keep telling me things and I just accept them. That's kind of like why I haven't, I guess, stuck with a human for a long time, I guess.
That just
dating wise
sucks. I mean, again,
Right.
personally, if somebody came up to me and was like, I remember a time, I'm sure Eunice and Steph have heard this story a billion times. I was out in a place and there was this guy bragging. He was just bragging to brag. And like, I may have been not in the right place of mind, but he was like, "Oh, every single job that I've gotten, my friend has gotten them for me. I never really had to interview." And so I just it wasn't me attempting to hurt him. I just bold-faced looked at him and it was like, "Oh, so you can't get your own job, huh?" And then like again, I wasn't trying to hurt his feelings. He's like, "Well, I have this house, and I've got a wife and I have a kid at home, and I got all this money." And I'm like, "So what you're telling me is you're not with your wife right now. You're trying to avoid her, essentially, and you're here with me." I was like 21 at the time or something, and he was like 30 something, and he was just like, "Well, I'm not trying to avoid. I'm just trying to have a good time." I'm like, "You don't have a good time with your wife? Do you not like your wife or something like that?" And he seemed to be pissed. And then I think one of the lines he said was like, "I have a lot of money and a lot of investments, and if I really wanted to quit and just retire, I can." So I was just like, "Oh, that's really great for you. The fact that I'm here, you're here. I'm only 21 and you're in your 30s, and yet we can have like a conversation." I actually meant it like, "Oh, that we can have a conversation like it's so crazy that everything that led you in your life had led, and everything I've led, I haven't even started really my career stuff, and we're both in the same place. And this guy looks at me and he goes, "I have to go home," and then just walks away. Yeah,
Better things to do
essentially
than
like
mess with you,
I think
little
like
boy.
everything that was supposed to impress. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that's not impressive. I'm not saying don't, God bless everything that. Yeah, it is impressive the things that
It
you
is
have.
impressive.
Do you know what I mean? But it's just
exactly.
like for certain people, it doesn't necessarily mean anything to impress. And also, like anything that impresses, it's just like somebody comes up to me, "Oh, I bought a Lamborghini." It's just like, oof, that seems like a car that just as soon as you took it off the lot, you just lost 30% of your money right there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Exactly.
a lot of that kind of just can rub somebody the wrong way. It has everything to do with also kind of values. But it's interesting the fact that the men that you're dating feel less, or that you're seeing feel less and less secure about themselves and try to, like, I don't want to say show off with money, but it's just like I would think even now that it would be changing in a time of like, yeah, if you date, there's a lot of men who are less like the traditional quote unquote patriarchy, like I have to be the breadwinner kind of mentality. But it kind of sucks that you're still going through that.
Yeah, I mean, I think those values are still
Yeah, I mean, it's hard
lingering in our
to make them go
generation,
away,
which
you know?
sucks. Yeah.
Even people who
Fair.
are like feel like men and women should be equal in the household. There was like this study that showed that women still did more chores than the men in these like liberal households.
Eunice, who does more chores in the house? You?
Yeah,
or your
it's
partner? I'm outing them right now.
Is this very telling?
It
Is you
seems like it.
complaining about your partner? Is this it?
No, Steph.
Me?
Steph, who does more chores?
Oh
in the
no,
house?
well, we both like don't do chores. Our house is
Is
just a
it
mess.
equal?
we need someone to
Well,
go
well,
above and
okay.
beyond.
No one does the
Steph,
chores.
you
No
have the power to
one.
garnish Eunice's wages and hire somebody. Never forget that.
Not worth it.
What
Never
the-
forget you
what
have
the-
that power.
COVID.
Steph, you know what? I can come and clean your house.
Oh, it's
If you
okay,
pay me.
Eunice.
Not to wrap this up, but
Oh, right. Wait, no.
Okay,
I have
to
another
go
story that you
walk
might
my dog.
find interesting. And
Eunice, you know,
Oh,
it's
you have
time.
to
Every time
go? Oh my
it's about to end,
gosh.
my dog has to come in. This is a tradition, Ellie, where my dog Amy. Hey,
fat
don't call her
Amy.
that. My dog Amy comes in every single time.
She's a very voluptuous dog.
Every time she has to come in to do a walk right at the end. So I'm gonna put it to my co-hosts, Eunice and Steph. I'm sure you can lead this as co-hosts. So I'm not gonna. I'll be back. And I'll see so I'll be right back. But here's Eunice and Steph and Ellie
Okay.
to continue the
Bye.
conversation.
Is he gone?
So
Can we talk shit about him now?
Oh goodness. Let's.
But yeah, what story did you want to share?
Wait, give me 2 seconds. My mic is dying a little bit.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Whoa, I hear you better than before.
Ooh, perfect. Yeah, my AirPods were dying. They've been dying for the better part of a minute now. It's great.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Wait, you couldn't hear me before? Was it muffled?
No, I could, but I had to raise your volume.
Oh no.
Personally, I don't know.
could hear her.
Steph, how about you?
Oh,
Oh, then maybe it's just me.
oh,
I have bad hearing.
oh no.
it's much
You're crystal
clearer
clear
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is great, I guess. So now you get to hear my story when it's much, much clearer. There's another human that I went on a couple of dates with. Not a couple.
Okay.
A hand. Just one. Just the one date because it didn't go anywhere.
Whoa. We went from couple to one. Okay.
Yes. It's because, I mean, it would have been different if they hadn't bombarded me with something like, this is the first thing they said to me, like face to face. We've messaged before and it was great. But then face to face when we met, mind you, with COVID or masks and everything, I sit down and the next thing I know, they're telling me, so I like being tied up. And that's the first thing they say. And I mean, mind you, I don't kink shame. Like, yeah, good for you if that's what you like. But give me a little heads up first. I will try everything for once, if anything.
That's not something you say first.
Exactly.
Though,
but that's what I got first. And at this point, I'm like,
eek.
Did you forget like social manner? Like, what's the weather? Talk about the weather first. Like, what before you say this to me? Or do you want to get to know what my feelings are about bondage before we move on? Mind you, you do you.
Right.
No judgment here. But warn a girl first.
It kind of sets the tone of the date in a weird way.
Yes. mind you, this
by saying that first.
This was a very public area. Like there were kids running around. It was in a park, and there were kids were like running around doing whatnot. And then he says it very clearly, and I'm like, cool. I am glad. My response was, because I'm a very awkward person, my response was like, I'm glad that that's what you like. And then he just like, I didn't know what else to say, but thank you for your information. And
right.
He just stares at me for a minute, and it's like, aren't you gonna say anything? Like,
you did say something.
Yes,
though.
I did.
What the?
But I guess he wanted me to.
What else does he want?
I guess now that I think back, he wanted me to tell him also something that I fantasize about. But at the time, my mind was blank, and I had no idea what was going on because that was not something.
Buy me a drink first,
right? The thing we spoke about before meeting up was about a new episode of like 99. Not a new episode of 99, but like the latest episodes, because I was rewatching 99 at the time, and we were just talking about that latest episode.
Wait, is this Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Or what is this? Oh, okay.
There's an episode where they're yelling at each other. Daddy, no! Something like that. I was like, let me to the club. I left it in my other pants. Things like that. So that was the last thing we spoke about. So I guess in his mind, it kind of changed to, yes, we could talk about this first thing. I'm like, okay, cool. So, I had a wonderful conversation, in my point of view. We had a wonderful conversation about bondage after that, but I didn't see myself going on a second date because I didn't feel comfortable with being bombarded that way. Right. But I learned some shit that day, a lot. More than I have ever learned before, which is great.
Okay.
About the bondage and things like that. I'm like, okay, the more I know. But that's an interesting date. And that's how my dates usually end, with me learning some shit about other things. Because I'm a bit of a hermit, and I don't go outside much.
No, I mean, I don't know if you can call yourself a hermit anymore when you.
I meet people. I talk to people. I'm not gonna blow off another human being. I'm not gonna do that.
Sure, but I don't know. I guess I know people who absolutely refuse to go on experiences like that. So I think it's cool that you're open to meeting whoever and also to entertain whatever. And you wouldn't be the type of person who even if this guy said something so forward like that, you wouldn't just leave the table. I'm sure there are other people who would be like that.
So I guess, I don't know, maybe he wanted to shock me. Who knows? He never explained. He just went on with the conversation. I'm like, okay. And then it was very interesting. Very what's it called? Learning experience.
I feel like he probably wanted to be intimate with you right away. Not necessarily physically intimate, but he wanted to be close to you.
I guess.
Super fast.
Or just get into the physical really fast.
Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe. He's like, all right, are you into bondage? I'm into bondage.
I'm into bondage.
This is a conversation I will take home.
Where did you come from? I thought you were doing a walk with your dog. We're going to talk shit about you in a minute.
I knew I can't trust none of you. I had her, she went to go pee, and then I was just like, all right, why not? Because she likes to walk afterwards, and I was like, I can't, I have to go back. So she'll probably come in to interrupt again.
She's gonna
she'll come cry
again. Yeah, she definitely is gonna cry.
So yeah, sorry, carry on. What were you saying before I interrupted? I didn't mean to.
I was the one that interrupted, sorry.
Who was interrupted? Me?
You were interrupted.
Oh, in that case, I don't remember.
I didn't have anything else to say.
Yeah, we've said
and with that, thank you for listening to our podcast.
Wait, that's it?
No. What time it is?
True. But I feel like, do we have a conclusion? I don't know.
I think the conclusion is I think the thing is I don't think the apps are that great in meeting people. Yes, have the fun if you want. This is just from my side of the thing. Have the fun that you want, but when it comes time to, don't go into a relationship just because people around you are going to a relationship. And when you are in a relationship, look at you'll start to see things that you like and things that you don't like. And the main thing is, again, sense of humor. Values are the same. Respect on both sides. Willingness to grow. These are all anybody can say like, yeah, these are things that you would need in a relationship. I'm talking about things that are needed in a relationship. Not you have to have a sense of humor, but your sense of humor should match, essentially. Not that you should have values, but if both of you don't have values, I guess technically that's a match. So there's also that. But like, like there has to be, core things that are in like, don't, it's a balance beam of don't just, it's not working out, I'm done. Give a relationship a chance to see where it goes. Cause sometimes, on the underneath, there could be way more and you could have way more in common. A lot of times people just have a bravado in the front, but then the real person's kind of in the back. Not that you have to give them that time to work it out, but just, I say, give it a little bit more time. And then secondary, don't feel like you need to be stuck to something just because it is the way it is or anything like that. If you're unhappy, there are reasons why you're unhappy. And like Eunice said before, go to counseling. Everybody should go to counseling.
Hell yeah.
Me and Steph, we're going to counseling.
Wait,
that's going to be our
Ellie,
2021 goals.
Did you find anything useful from this episode?
I mean, to be honest, everything Mo has said has resonated with everything that I know, like like from myself, because I don't know if it has come across, but we think very alike.
Yeah.
So.
But we look nothing alike. Just want to make everybody sure of this. Right, Ellie?
I
just
am
make
not
sure everybody sure of this.
I am not a bridge troll. I don't like hang around.
See, she just called me a bridge troll. You all heard this. Listen, I have one pimple that's on my head that makes me look like a unicorn. And we were FaceTiming before this entire podcast just to talk real quick. And I thought my hair was hiding it. No, it was literally just pointing at it.
That's making her call you a
bridge troll? It's just a pimple, Eunice.
No. It's because you said we're very different, so that made me think that you were calling me bridge troll.
I was saying
no,
definitely not. You are way more beautiful than I am. What I was saying before was that when I was like, oh yeah, me and Ellie were like twins, we're exactly alike. And you made sure to tell everybody as soon as possible everything alike but looks, you know what I mean? So I just want to make people sure that they know that me and you don't look anything alike. Though I think we look similar, you know what I mean?
It's just who we are.
Yeah. Sooner or later, by the time I guarantee you, by the time we're 80, we'll be a person.
Just the same thing.
I'm sorry, Ellie.
Hey, maybe I glow up, Eunice.
I mean, you snagged someone like Natasha, so I think I've got
I mean, she got really lucky.
Hey, listen, luck is a good factor. You know what I mean?
Goodness, yes. But I do agree with everything you've said that there has to be some sort of like not understand, but at least what is it like? Not a chemistry, because that's a very squishy word. But there has to be some sort of companionship before a whole relationship can blossom, I guess, or an understanding between the two that. Maybe you do want to go forward with the relationship, or no, maybe you want it to be casual. So it's all a matter of conversations beforehand. At one time, I have people that come up to me that I thought I would like date them and see where that would go, and then they'll be like, no, I'm only looking for like a one night stand or a physical thing at the moment, and then I would be like, I guess that's not what I'm looking for at the moment. Thank you, and then they would just like go away. And then I've also had clients that would go up to me when I'm during counseling, and then they would tell me that, you see how I said thank you, but that's not going to work for me. They've done the opposite, and they've stayed with them into a relationship that became so warped that increased their risks of actually acquiring a disease because their partners was having affairs and things like that. So that's that, I guess, that makes me a little wary, just because of my profession and also just because of who I am. So I know, like what Mom was saying, be aware of what your partner is looking for and what you're looking for yourself.
Well said. Well said.
I don't know what you would want to add.
No, I think it's a perfect place to end it. Steph, Eunice, any last words?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
The patriarchy sucks.
What'd you say?
I said the patriarchy sucks.
Yeah, definitely.
I hate all men.
Geez.
Just so that.
Don't worry, I like your partner.
I wouldn't say that completely.
Yeah,
all the humans. I like humans. I really do.
Eunice's thing is to make sure.
No, my thing is I always say something controversial.
Right at the end. Make sure that everybody hates us. By the 25th podcast, there won't be a single person.
I specifically hate what are they called? What are they called? The ones that like can't get laid. What are they called? Incels.
Yeah.
Lordy Lord.
Says they like incels,
Um,
except incels.
Wait.
Yeah, who likes them? No one.
What
Just them.
in the world is incels?
Incel is like
Really?
involuntary
You never heard of
celibate.
them?
We'll talk more
Yeah.
about that off the air.
Okay.
Is this
Sounds
something
good.
that can't
Go
be
to
said?
go to
Uh,
subreddit.
I hate you.
Yeah,
So-
there's a whole subreddit about it. If you're interested.
If you're an incel, I hate
Also,
you.
if you're an
What I
incel and you're
mean.
feeling bad about it because Eunice hates you, don't feel bad. And also, everybody go to mental counseling, including
Yeah, just
incels.
just get counseling.
Yeah, everybody.
If you're-
And
So hit
Especially-
subscribe.
yes, I don't know, hit subscribe. But tell us what you think of the podcast, and thank you, Ellie, for coming along.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Yeah.
And again, I hope this has been somewhat insightful. Maybe it wasn't, but it's good to know sort of 3 people who are in a couple versus one person who's
They all
single.
ganged up on
though
me,
it didn't-
guys. They all ganged
Yeah.
up on me.
Yeah, including
No!
Eunice. You know what I mean? But
No, it's
yes, it
not.
is.
No.
Steph, this could be reflecting in her wages. I mean, you're the arbiter of wages, so you.
Steph, back me up.
Anyway,
back me up.
thanks for
Steph.
coming. Subscribe, like. I don't know what else you got to do here, but
And
thanks.
remember that I hate you before you can hate me.
Yeah, and remember, Eunice hates everyone.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye.